This is the F-16, an American-made fighter that helped Pakistan hold the edge over India in a decades-long battle for air superiority in the subcontinent. This feared fighter was the backbone of Pakistan's Air Force for close to 40 years. In recent years, Islamabad's F-16 has faced a key problem. It is aging very, very quickly. As the F-16s have aged, New Delhi has surged ahead of Pakistan in its aerial capabilities and looked set to keep the advantage. After all, Pakistan's economy is weak and Islamabad cannot afford continued upgrades to its equipment. However, a $450 million package from Washington to maintain and upgrade Pakistan's F-16s may just have changed all of that. In early September, American authorities announced that they would undertake a sustainment program for Pakistan's jets. According to Washington, this is all routine, some parts fixed here and there, and some minor improvements to ensure that these 40-year-old jets can keep flying. New Delhi, though, isn't convinced. A closer look at the program reveals that America will also work on the F-16's electronic combat systems, engine improvements, software capabilities, and precision measurements. That doesn't sound like a regular checkup to New Delhi. America claims that its aid will not be used to alter the military balance in the region or to add any new capabilities to the fighter. Further, the upgrade is only meant to improve Pakistan's ability to fight terror. India, though, isn't convinced. During a visit to America, External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar said as much.
For someone to say, I'm doing this because it is for counter-terrorism, when you are talking of an aircraft like the capability of the F-16, I mean, everybody knows, where they are deployed and what is the use and what is their capability. So, you're not fooling anybody by saying these things.
To understand Indian concerns, we have to go back to the 1980s. Back then, the Cold War was all the rage, and Pakistan was a crucial ally in America's fight against the Soviet Union. Specifically, Islamabad and the United States were helping the Afghan Mujahideen fight off an invasion by the Soviets. However, Pakistan's Air Force had a problem. Its fighters were just too slow to catch Afghan and Soviet jets. To get over this problem and to reward Pakistan for being a good ally, Washington sold Pakistan its first F-16s in 1983. When they were introduced, these fighters were an instant success. They downed several jets and were a menace to the Soviet cause in Afghanistan. Once the war with the Soviets ended, these deadly fighters were deployed to face an entirely different enemy, India. New Delhi knew the threat posed by the F-16s. The Indian Air Force had used its fighters to devastating effect in the 1965 and 1971 wars. In fact, the IAF's swift action in East Pakistan during the 71 war knocked out the Pakistani Air Force early in the war and enabled an Indian victory. The F-16 acquisition meant that the tenuous air balance in the subcontinent between India and Pakistan was now tipping in Pakistan's favor. In the end, New Delhi was saved by two things. First, America had no real need for Pakistan after the Afghanistan war concluded in 1989. The country's rogue nuclear weapons program had also become too big to ignore, and the Americans subsequently blocked the sale of F-16s to Pakistan. Second, India approached France to supply Mirage 2000s, which proved crucial during the 1999 Kargil war and remain an important part of the IAF to this day. Pakistan, though, wasn't blocked forever. Soon enough, 9/11 happened, and America needed Islamabad to fight another war in Afghanistan. Washington sold some F-16s, upgraded others, and Pakistan now has a fleet of about 85 fighters. Now, despite the fact that these fighters are aging, they continue to pose a security threat to India. After the 2019 Balakot airstrikes, an F-16 was used to shoot down Wing Commander Abhinandan Vartharaman's MiG-21. India's acquisition of the Rafale and its other air modernization plans were also designed to outclass its Western rivals. Pakistan's recent economic collapse has also made clear that the country is in no position to undertake expensive new military platforms and upgrades. As Pakistan's planes grew older and more feeble, India's advantage would continue to grow. However, this $450 million package threatens that grand plan and has angered the Indian military establishment. So, why is the United States really so determined to give Pakistan this military upgrade? Here, the whole matter becomes a mystery. The official American explanation makes at least some sense. Analysts speculate that American aid is a reward for Pakistan's cooperation in the recent assassination of terrorist leader Ayman al-Zawahiri. US forces killed Zawahiri by conducting a drone strike in Afghanistan, which some say could not have been done without Islamabad's support. The theory goes that Pakistan is finally serious about fighting terrorism. However, the Biden administration would be wise to remember that both President Trump and Obama suspended military aid to Pakistan precisely because they didn't believe the country was doing enough to fight terror. Islamabad's security services have encouraged terrorism for too long and too often for anyone to really believe them. In the end, the reason behind the new F-16 support deal may be America's rivalry with China. After Washington refused to sell advanced weaponry to Pakistan, Beijing stepped in to fill the gap. As expert Aisha Siddiqa points out, Pakistan's Air Force has shifted towards the JF-17 Thunder fighter, which was jointly developed by China and Pakistan. Despite this, the country's top military leadership continues to hold American weaponry in high esteem. It would seem that when you need to bomb something, there's nothing quite like American weapons. The theory also goes that if Washington refuses to upgrade the F-16s, Pakistan will have no choice but to turn to Beijing or rely on its own devices. And if that happens, America loses a piece of leverage that it has had over Pakistan for over 7 decades. Another fear is that the United States may be left with little ability to operate against terrorism in Afghanistan if it loses Pakistan as a key ally. More than anything, the F-16 support deal shows that neither Washington nor Islamabad is quite ready to abandon their relationship. Only time will tell what that means for India.